dude.
Yes. So as I was just explaining, the reason why I have my catchphrase is because normally we just start talking, and then when I hit the button to go live, I'm like, and we're live, because I have to interrupt all the awesome conversations that we're having, because this stuff is so exciting. And the reason why I wanted to do this stream is because you two gentlemen have been leaders in the HEX community in terms of recognizing the importance and the significance of HEX on ETHW, the proof of work fork that happened. And I want to break it down for people who are completely lost. I want to talk about, how do you bring in new money? How do you trade out your worthless USDC? Like what are all the plays that you can do? What are the safety steps that people, need to go through? Because look, I'm supposed to be in Dublin right now. I got COVID on the plane ride back from Vegas. I'm going to virtually go in to the longevity conference. So I've been seeing it as a blessing in disguise, because I've been able to just stay at home and, dive into all this stuff super deep. And I've been following all your guys' coverage.
I'm watching over you, Matty. You got some vibes. Everyone's trying to keep you in play. You know what I mean?
I know, right?
I like that. I love that, because you know how many guys are on vacay right now? It just happens to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is the significance of all this in the first place? We'll get to the FUD. You guys have been doing a great job of covering that as well. The significance of this is the dress rehearsal for Pulse Chain. This is an experiment above anything else. And, the worst case scenario is that, you completely mess this up because you didn't do your research, and or something else goes wrong. The best case scenario is that we are the fixer bots, and we go in and fix the prices on this stuff until it, dare I say, reaches parity, or, whatever it's going to do, be a derivative play, whatever.
100x from parity last night.
Yeah, I know, right? So the price has been performing crazy right now. In the past 12 hours, it's just been drifting around back and forth between 0.001 and 0.002 effectively. What are your guys' opening thoughts?
I'll go first, because Jesse's are probably a little bit more. If you're about to do stuff on this stuff, I'm more of like, I love to learn about these ideas, they incite me. But Jesse's been in the game longer than I, and he's going to be less risk averse than I, because of his probably amount of money. And I'm just saying, so guys, when we're all talking, everyone's in a different situation. $500 to me might make or break me. To Jesse, it might be pocket change. To my grandma, it might be nothing, like whatever. So the most important thing here is that Richard Hart educated us all very, very, very well on these subjects over the last 6 years, because he is actually a thought leader, and he's paying attention to the now all the time and adjusting his decision. Yes, he's not going to talk crap about his own stuff. And he's not going to say, go over here and do this on some other chain. That's negligent. He knows that. But he will tell you low liquidity, product market fit, great community, great founder, immutable code anywhere has a place. And especially because Vitalik is the one creating this. He is the most respectable name in cryptocurrency, period. In my opinion, just from just looking around. So I just think this is important to focus on. This is a practice step. If you do this, you're going to be so ready for Pulse Chain. No problem. A+ on the test. And that's what I'm excited about, guys. Yes, I got a good amount of whatever in my account, a bunch of HEX. I like HEX. Okay.
Good job, man.
I like HEX though. I want HEX. And that's the whole point I want to say to the new guys. Same code. Technology continues to push forward. Let's focus hard. And we'll get into the details, obviously, and Jesse. And thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you.
HEX is a global brand, or we at least want it to be a globally recognized brand. It exists now against our willpower, against our control. It now exists in a new ecosystem.
We should have let you start.
having it actually, first off, it functions exactly as intended. People over there, whether it's us or you as the user, the watchers, or new people on ETHW who see that it's performing well, and they say, "What is this thing? It's called HEX. What is this?" They Google, they see Richard Hart. They're like, "Oh, this is interesting." Okay, it's only helpful to HEX.
Can I make a point on that?
Yeah.
So, and I want to keep hearing your opening thoughts. So the people who are using ETHW are the people who like free money and who are technically advanced enough. They're going to be the first ones using Pulse Chain that are from outside of our community. So we want to be the leading brand over on ETHW because that is our target audience for Pulse Chain.
When Ethereum forks, okay, you look at Bitcoin Classic, look at Ethereum Classic or Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic. Anytime something forks, okay, it's always contentious. There's always people who prefer one over the other, and then they say, "Oh, security risks on this one are higher than the risks over here," and there's always going to be people who take one side of the fence of which part of that fork that they prefer. Okay. But what always happens is those forks find their balance eventually. They find their price floor, they find their user base, and it's never the same volume as the original, right? Or of like in the case of ETH 2.0, of course, ETH 2.0, the merged proof of stake blockchain is going to be the primary chain that people like to use. But that doesn't mean that ETHW isn't going to continue to exist with its own user base. And because HEX exists over there, they now have a way to earn trustless yield, to protect them from themselves by locking away their value, staking, and saving them from themselves, which actually helps the price of ETHW. Imagine if the users over there parked all their value into HEX. Okay. And if we can get some good liquidity going over there, and the ETHW people say, "You know what? What's this tool over here? Let me try and use it. Let me buy some HEX. Let me play with this and create a HEX stake." It's literally the same narrative, regardless of what chain you put it on. But we now have millions of eyes looking at HEX right now. So the maxis who keep fudding and saying like they want it to die, or like I literally heard a guy tell me yesterday in a green room that he prefers for HEX to die over there for all the economic energy to buy the real HEX. What does that even mean? The real HEX? It's just code, guys.
I think it's just a misunderstanding in where they're at in crypto. Like, I just don't think they see things the way they are. They see them a little more concrete, and they just need to become more educated on the little specific things within this community. That's why I want to just keep helping. I'm like, I know there's guys listening to the little details, just like I was when I was working hard at my job. And I just, those little details, like you're mentioning, like he's mentioning, over an hour conversation, those are the things you need to understand, because this is a concept and it's evolving, changing, morphing constantly. Richard Hart has to stick up with this stuff too. You think he doesn't pay attention? Really? He pays laser locked attention. Maybe he's more efficient than some of us because he's paid attention, but I just think everyone should just put their learning caps on, learning caps, so we can make HEX the best brand and the most awesome thing. And this helps so much. There's so many people. How much dry powder was on the sidelines? Clearly a lot. It's clearly a lot. So people
somebody says, what's better, proof of work or proof of stake? Well,
we don't know yet. Proof of stake is pretty new when it comes to Ethereum.
It is. It is new. Now,
what are the two reasons they're doing it? Because there's only two reasons, right? Efficiency and with electricity. That's one, and you could say that matters, nor it doesn't.
You save you can save the environment. Congratulations.
I know it's
the fees are still expensive and it's still slow, and proof of work chain, ETH proof of work, appears to be very fast and cheap right now. So where's that narrative? Like, do those people who are using that chain actually care about the environment? We should all care about the environment.
I don't.
But
I mean,
I said this on
personally,
your stream, Jim Rat. People need to get this in their head. When you go to a shopping center, you go in a store and you buy a product, do you care what type of computer that the clerk is using to ring your stuff up? No, all you care is that you have a good user experience. You could care less the software or the buttons that she's pressing as she's ringing your stuff up.
Yeah. It's easier to have a good user experience this way, though, as well, because of the airdrop factor, one, and because extrapolatively, Ethereum had problems with load, and we want this to scale to everyone. We want this to scale to everyone. How can we scale easier, more efficiently? Ask Charles Hoskinson. Ask the Polkadot guys. Ask Richard Hart. Ask Vitalik. They'll all say the same thing. That's why they're all doing proof of stake.
Well, I think the ultimate reason that we're doing HEX, or at least, you know, for me, a primary use case is like HEX is a more mentally healthy form of monetary environment than the dollar is, than Bitcoin is, than Ethereum is. And so HEX needs to exist somewhere, and it needs to be secure, and it needs to have a good user experience, and it needs to grow in its usership. And it's up to us as the ambassadors, the people who do not work for a company, and we're just out here doing this as a passion play because we do love the tech and because it's fun and exciting and allows us to meet lots of really cool people. But like, you know, I've been pretty surprised at the reaction of most streamers to not be anything but enthusiastic about this from a technical perspective, if nothing else. From a learning perspective.
Listen to this. This is really good for Pulse Chain.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, HEX is literally the best performing thing on ETHW.
It is.
The supply has drained itself. We give the narrative that you better get HEX because people are staking it and the supply is getting smaller and smaller and it's becoming rare. We like to give that narrative, and then it actually happens within 24 hours on a new chain. and then people go, "Oh my God, but where's the supply?" And then it's like, we've been saying this for years, people. But now anybody who looks at OKLink, looks at the blockchain explorer for ETHW, sees HEX at the top of the charts, right where it's supposed to be. Even if the chain, starts to dwindle over time, those people are now looking at HEX. They're probably researching, this is going to happen again. They're expecting that HEX will do the exact same thing in the event of a fork. And they all ape in to Pulse Chain and buy HEX because they've seen it happen before.
Yeah.
Right? You just saw a fork and HEX did a 50 or 60, actually at one point over 100x. Millions of people saw that happen. Pulse Chain forks, all those same people, millions of people say, we've been through this before, and they all ape into HEX. And now we just secured millions of people using HEX.
Yeah.
There's no narrative where this attention that HEX has now isn't good for overall HEX.
Yeah. We don't want, when the attention comes to our community from these people who know how to adopt new things and who aren't scared of a new chain, when the attention comes to us and they research HEX, we don't want all of our streamers giving the opposite narrative of what would support Pulse Chain. We don't want them being, neophobic and saying, I'm scared, I don't know if it's technically safe. Like, that makes us kind of look bad. That's why I didn't want to say anything until I researched, and I started researching right away. That's the difference between, and look, I've made mistakes and I've said things out of turn and stuff, but like, I can recognize when I am, showing the behavior of a furu for 2 minutes versus, being a guru and doing my research and thinking about the game theory, about how it affects the other narratives that we have. Like the main definition of what I don't want to be, is like, I don't want to be contradicting myself all the time. I don't want to say, hey, Pulse Chain is great because lower fees, because you get a copy on a new chain. And then, all of a sudden, why would I be saying, that the ETHW fork is a bad thing, or, I'm not going to look into it or something. Right. So I think it's really important when all the attention comes to us that we capitalize on that and we show our strengths. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to have this stream, is to get the word out even more, and to support what other people are doing to educate themselves about about all this, because it's exciting, it's important. Like, yay, we got a free copy of HEX. Who's saying that?
Me. me. I'm so excited about all this stuff. I was excited from the minute that I saw it was all legitimate. I was excited from the second I put my RPK settings in. I was excited from the second that I moved over there, because Richard had prepared me for this for a year and a half straight. And it's just a fork of code, guys.
So, and RPK is a big gun.
RPC settings, whatever.
Let's break down how simple this is. So really all you're doing is you're just changing the settings and in your MetaMask to a different network. And what I've heard other people warn, and what I'm doing myself, is I'm just not messing around with my big wallets. If I have big wallets, they aren't part of the experiment here. They aren't part of the learning process. Okay.
Well, you still have those coins though, so maybe in the future.
Oh yeah. Not even maybe. Certainly.
Well, you know what I mean though. So
yeah,
you have a position there, and you're saying security purpose.
I only experiment on fresh wallets at first when I'm dipping my toe in the water. So it's as easy as you go to your Google Chrome browser and you go to the little whatever icon you have, and then you create a new profile. You can Google how to do that, but then that allows you to install a fresh take of MetaMask on the same computer, but it's a different profile. So it acts as a completely fresh browser as well. And so I just, and then you write down the 12 words. It's not hard to set up a MetaMask. It takes about 3 minutes, and, then you can send coins to there. You can connect to the new network. We can run through it here real quick, and you guys can fill in the gaps if you want.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a few different ways to do some things too, depending on.
Now, there's a couple of safety. There's different levels of safety. You can sit on your hands and do nothing, which is perfectly acceptable. You can take your public address and put it into OKLink Blockchain Explorer, and you can see, wow, I have free copies. And then do nothing, and that's perfectly acceptable. You can connect up the RPC settings in the MetaMask, see those same free coins, and say, I prefer to send these to a fresh wallet address, just so I'm not interacting with an address that I like to use on the ETH chain. That's perfectly acceptable. Some people may even choose to say, well, I have stakes stuck on this. Like, you have to be careful, of course, right? It's a completely different chain ID than ETH 2.0. Maker DAO, the DAI protocol, they issued an article saying, yep, it's different than the chain ID of ETH 2.0. They also talked about replay attacks and what that means. And then people from our own community confirmed that a replay attack between ETH 2.0 and EthPoW was not possible.
Yeah, because of that, they switched the chain ID to 10,001,
right?
Which is also, it comes up as a warning that that's also for the test BCH chain or something, but that doesn't. I don't think that matters.
It doesn't matter unless maybe if you connect your seed phrase up and access the test BCH chain and do a transaction, and then an attacker did something weird and did that same transaction on ETHPoW. Like, who the hell goes on the testnet of ETH or of BCH?
Yeah.
Nobody, right? Like, who cares? And then
we grab some paper in just a second.
like maybe another risk level would be actually
Keep
bridging
talking, Jesse. I'm gonna fill my water, but we're listening.
another risk level would be like bridging new money in. The argument against that you may hear from the community is that, oh, you're not going to get a copy of those coins on Pulse Chain. Well, nobody's selling their HEX. We would never tell you sell your HEX and go dump and then circle back into ETHPoW and then buy HEX over there. That would just be stupid. But what about all these people who have tokens, who have ERC20s, maybe even stable coins, who got a free copy on ETHPoW, and then they said, but you know what? I'm willing to take some of my ERC20 stable coins like USDC, send it to an exchange, swap it for ETHW, and then bring it into the chain and buy HEX with it as a speculation. The argument that, oh, but you're not going to get a free copy of your coins now, nobody cares about, because copied over USDC to any chain goes to zero. It just proved itself, as I've been saying forever. Look, one single dollar gets you like 26,000 USDC on ETHPoW. Okay, because it's going to zero. The same thing's going to happen on Pulse Chain to copied stable coins. They start out at the ratios that they start out with, or a fixer bot thing, or Richard or a big liquidity provider does something with the liquidity, but ultimately they go to zero if they're copied in because they're not redeemable. So who cares if people decided to take some of their USDC and circle it around into the chain and throw $5 into HEX over on ETHPoW?
Yeah.
Again, it's all different risk levels.
I mean,
some people will choose not to do that. Other people are clearly proving that they are.
Yeah, I'll talk about what I'm doing too. What I do, so here's what I do. When I write down a fresh seed phrase, I don't want to get it confused with my other seed phrases. So I take a lot of notes and I put like what device it's on and like what the name of the browser profile is. And I write down the date that I'm creating this. And then I write down metamask.io if that's like the piece that I'm using. And then I number all of the seed words like 1 through 12. And so I'm writing that down twice and it's all clearly labeled, because then my future self thanks me, like, thanks for being so organized. So I, and having a lot of different test wallets usually doesn't hurt either. So
it's just the thing that I think a lot of the newer guys get lost on is the low liquidity part. And that's because no one understands why the price moves. Yes, we do. And like the guys that are focused up understand about liquidity providing because they probably experimented with it and they've probably sold some of their crypto using it. So they probably understand a little bit better why the price actually moves with these things. It doesn't matter what the unit per coin is. If it has product market fit and no liquidity, it's free. You know what I mean? Basically, because there's no liquidity. So you cannot sell a large amount, but you can buy amounts that are large comparatively to the narrative on the other chain. And as we saw yesterday, very quickly these things can come into play when a lot of people understand them. And this is the biggest news that's happened in crypto in a long time. And HEX is holding the top of the trading volume like it's nothing.
Maddie, do you remember HEX at the beginning when it was super low liquidity and everyone was scared and they didn't know if it was a scam or not a scam and the price was moving super hard? Do you remember the early days of HEX?
I mean, I remember like the late early days because I came in on day 3. I only watched Richard for the first like 4 months. Then I discovered that there was a community, and then I went in and like was trying to play along. Like people are playing shrimp games and stuff, and I'm like losing HEX over here. And then I realized that there was a lot of good in the community as well.
But as far as
yeah, there was FUD. There was lots of FUD. There was
there's
misunderstanding. Nobody knew what to do.
It was
like,
low liquidity,
cat.
and it was like,
It's like,
what's the best part about buying low liquidity assets? The floor is already in, guys. How much?
That's not necessarily
not
true.
right now. I meant the floor was in when it started yesterday.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, you could have low liquidity in it, and it actually, the reason why most people hate low liquidity is because that's what rug pulls do, because they can pump and dump easier. But like also, you can get a magic carpet ride instead of just a rug pull with low liquidity. So the reason why most people are scared of low liquidity is because low liquidity means that when it's double-sided liquidity, which is the real kind that matters for this example, it means that somebody's willing to take either side of a trade. And so it's two buckets, and you bring your Ethereum on one side, we have HEX on the other side, and the people who are making the market, who put millions of dollars of HEX and millions of dollars of Ethereum there at the same time, they say, we don't care which one you take. We don't care which one you leave, right? So when you do your trade and you put ETH in and you take HEX out of those buckets, that's because somebody was willing to sell HEX to you, but they were also willing to sell ETH for HEX. So that's what a market maker does. And that brings confidence. The more that somebody's willing to say, this is the price I really think HEX should be, because I'm willing to take USDC on Ethereum, or I'm willing to take HEX. Like either one, I am telling you that this is the right price. And so that's when there's low liquidity, there's less confidence that that is the right price. But there's also, it's a matter of price discovery, and it's a matter of, are you a trader? Do you want liquidity because you want exit liquidity? Or are you somebody who's taking a long-term perspective, who's taking risk, and who believes in something? That's a different scenario than you want the highest liquidity, because the more liquidity you have, the harder it is to move up the price, just like it is the harder to move down the price.
And it's the harder for new guys to make money.
Depends what
more
their
money
strategy is.
Well, when there's higher liquidity, you can't buy as much of the pie, period. End of story. I could have never purchased the amount of HEX on Ethereum in my entire life.
I think
that I did with $500 on that chain, just because I was paying attention to when it launched.
I think you're conflating price and liquidity a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's the reason the price moved.
Because if the price was 0.000001 and there was more liquidity, then you could have bought more.
Well,
and you could have sucked up all the liquidity, and then the liquidity disappeared, and then the price would have gone
doesn't. But the price just stays the exact same. Here's how I explain it.
Okay.
Imagine if you had such low liquidity that there was only 10 tokens compared to 10 USDC. The first guy comes along and he says, I want one of those tokens. Uniswap says I have to deposit a USDC. He puts one in, one token comes out from the other side. You now have 9 tokens on one side with 11 USDC supplying the value to 9 tokens. The price just moved to $1.20. Okay. The next token that's purchased costs a little bit more. This is slippage. Okay. Now you have to put in 1.2 USDC into the one side to get one token out from the other side. So now you have like 12.2 tokens on one side supplying the value to 8 tokens on the other side. Now the price just moved even more. It's $1.50 or 60 or whatever it is. By the time you buy the third token, the price is $2 something, and then it's $4. So before, like, even though you only started with $10 of USDC, 10 USDC tokens, and then 10 of these other, you actually have like an infinite range there, and it moves super, super fast because it's low liquidity. Now we're going to start with the same ratio with thick liquidity. You're going to have 1 million tokens on one side and 1 million USDC on the other. The price doesn't move because you put in one single USDC. Now there's 1,000,001 USDC supplying the value to 999,999 tokens. And when you do that math, it's like the same damn price almost.
My question is,
We've
So
gotten
you can-
we've gotten
the price
very
doesn't move.
theoretical. We've gotten very in the weeds. We're talking about like
Alright.
what, and we're not
Sorry.
really here to predict price. So but I do appreciate your guys' takes because I think Jesse is able to explain that well. I've got it pulled up here. So what I did is I created a fresh seed phrase, and it's in a separate browser, and I went to the YouTube description here below on this video, and I looked at the notes, and it says, do your own research, not financial advice, take responsibility for yourself, blah, blah, blah. And it also says that it's link tree ILINKTR.ee/ETHW. And that takes you to a Medium article that's also linked in the description below. And that takes you to the mainnet info that you need. Now, there's an easier way to do this than just, like copy and pasting it all into MetaMask. But this is the way to learn. So when I go to my MetaMask, I can do the little Fox up here. You guys can't see it because I'm sharing my screen in a certain way. But basically, if you open the Fox, then you can get this as like a website page, kind of like your wallet page. And then under Ethereum mainnet, you're going to go add network. And then the network name, you're going to copy and paste all the stuff here. So this is in all caps ETHW, and then lower caps -mainnet. Put that in there. And then the RPC, you have to have the HTTPS in there as well. So you plug that in for the new RPC URL. The chain ID is 10,001. Currency symbol is ETHW in all caps. And the block explorer URL is https://mainnet.ethwscan.com. Then I hit save. Now I'm on the new network. So if I had stakes already on here, I'd be able to see them, although I wouldn't want to connect a major wallet to do a test activity. And so I can take this address, which was my ETH address, and now it's my ETHW address. These are the two different networks I've loaded on here. And so you can see when I switch back to Ethereum mainnet, it's the same address. But I would never want to send something on ETH to my ETHW address. Well, I guess it's the same address, so it's not going to get confused in that regard. But when you're on exchanges, you need to be careful that because so here, you wouldn't want to send ETHW to the ETH chain. No, I'm talking in circles. That's okay.
Well, I think what you were just about to say, which I do a lot, is you don't want to send certain things to the centralized exchange, only certain things at a certain amount.
Yeah. So
I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, I knew.
If you decide to buy ETHW, you want to send it to this address that is not the same address that's used on your Ethereum stuff.
Well, it is, but not. So here's the thing. So if
it's the same address. If you send there, it'll just land on the right chain. That's just how.
But if let's say you buy HEX on ETHW after the fork, and then you can't send that to the Ethereum chain. Like,
no, don't send that there. No. Yeah.
Anyway,
he's saying like don't send it somewhere where it's not even going to show up, or because see the way that I did it, I was very nervous yesterday. Extremely nervous while I was studying because I didn't want to make a mistake, kind of like Maddie's alluding to. Like he's like, I'm writing this down, I'm doing this. Like that's kind of how I was feeling too. And the best way that I found to do it was just to send some USDT. And I don't want anyone to do this if you're not prepared, but I just want to say the process. USDT to MEXC, that's the centralized exchange I was using. And I would only do $200 because I wanted to be safe. And I said, well, I'll do $200. That seems fair for my situation. Then I swapped on that website for ETHW, and then I sent it to a different address. And then I swapped all my, whatever I wanted to do with that.
Yep. Okay, so the next step is you're going to need to get some ETHW if this is a fresh wallet. And so if you have ETH Dust, or if you had Ethereum before the fork, then you can send that over to this address. That's one way to get it. If you have, if you have USDC that got copied over, you can take the copied over USDC and send it to this wallet. Anything like that. What did you guys do?
You want to go ahead, Jesse? Oh, sorry.
So so you need to, if people choose to bring fresh money in instead of play with their copies, you simply send ETHW to the address of your choice. You go to MetaMask under the address you sent it to, and then you're already on ETHW mainnet at the top. You're good to go. So you go to the browser at that point. Now, your coins will show, your ETHW will show up already because it's a native coin. You don't have to import the contract address or anything. So you could go at that point straight to a browser or like a new tab or whatever, and then go.
So I used Kraken. I set up a new account. They KYC'd me immediately. I've also heard people have been using Change Now without KYC, but you have to read the instructions because normally they have limits on how much you can bring in.
I did not KYC on my MEXC. That was the first time I used it. But keep those dollars low, or they will immediately flag you and KYC you.
Cool.
So if you have lots of thousands of dollars and you're doing this, I could not relay my experience to you. Like, I did not spend that much money. So to me, the risk evaluation was a hair different. And I want everyone to be really careful, because this is what Richard Hart preaches. This is what Maddie preaches. This is what I preach. We want you to not lose your stuff.
Right. Jay Parr keeps saying something. He keeps repeating himself. And I need people to understand
Please
both
address
sides
that.
of this. Everyone's going to get wrecked because they're not buying the real HEX. It's a mutable code. The blockchain doesn't know what's real. It's just real. No matter what blockchain runs it, it's HEX. Now, that being said, HEX is interesting because you can stake it for yield. And the bigger piece of the pie that you have of HEX, quantity of tokens staked, gives you a bigger, better bonus. So ironically, ETHW will eventually find its price floor, and people who were looking were able to get a huge quantity of those tokens that they weren't otherwise able to get somewhere else, right? Because if you go to ETH chain, for example, and you spend $5, you get like a handful of HEX, and then it's like, well, I'm yielding like nothing, okay? But if you spend $5 on the ETHW chain, you get shitloads and shitloads of HEX, and it's like, wow, I just grabbed a big piece of that pie, and then now you're yielding way more HEX than you would have. And then understanding that is swappable for ETHW, like there's still real value. The only argument against this is that the liquidity pools have dried, are thin. I mean, there's like $120,000 worth of liquidity in the Hedron pair. I mean, there's liquidity here and there over there, but that's literally because people saw this opportunity or are currently seeing that opportunity, and they're capitalizing on it.
It started yesterday, so that liquidity is going to find, just like the price, it's kind of a spot where it feels more comfortable with the market buying in and out of it. You know what I mean? And it happens quick, man. And the thing about Hedron and HEX and Ethereum, like, let's talk about each copy in particular. Like, they all start at zero. Some of those coins are much closer to zero than others as far as unit per. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're having HEX, I mean, if you're having Hedron and it only takes a little bit to go to parity, and the liquidity on the Ethereum chain is already low. and now it's even lower over here. Same thing with HEX. It's just a little bit, but HEX is amazing. The brand of HEX is like, wow to me, like, wow, right now it's punching so hard.
And JPAR, they're not chasing new shiny things. They're chasing HEX, which is a tool to generate new HEX.
Well, you could. I mean, it depends how degenerate you are. You could go chase new shiny things. Like, hey, I bought $10 worth of USDC on ETHW. You like that?
Well, how much did you get?
I bought $10 worth of DAI, baby. I got 30,000 of them. Like,
dude, we're going to parity.
It's for fun. No. Okay, it's for fun. I'm playing a video game. Okay, I don't go buy a $60 video game from GameStop or wherever people plug in their Nintendo or whatever. Like, I like to play the blockchain game.
He hasn't played in a while. They're $70.
So JPAR, you say it's super high risk.
They were
it's literally not super high risk. You say, JPAR, you say that the chain can be gone next week. No, it can't. This is the beauty of a decentralized proof of work blockchain where there's miners all around the globe. All it takes is one single guy from his basement with a miner, with his mining machine up and running, and the chain still exists. Like
my cousin and all my friends that I met at the Bitcoin conference. Like, lots of people have Ethereum miners, like small hobbyists, if you will. They're the ones who are still around.
And they're getting involved in all this stuff because they know how to use all these protocols, right?
There's a guy who says in the chat he's mining ETHW. There you go.
Hey,
if the whole entire
thank you for your service
world of miners stopped mining and that guy continued mining, we would still have ETHW chain.
Would you guys like the guys that buy up all the ETHW HEX to be Hexicans and like people that we kind of love HEX and we want HEX to be so amazing and like we love the whole ethos? I like that. I want guys like Maddie buying that stuff. I want guys like Jesse buying that stuff.
What am I buying?
No, I'm just saying in general, like I like the guys that get a lot of the portions of HEX to be guys that I like.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So I like when guys like you are getting involved. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like to win together with smart people as well. Hey, look, money appeared in my account. Cool. Thanks, Kraken.
Dude, that's lit.
Yeah, so we're gonna go through it here. We're gonna show you how to do everything.
Right. So how much was that? $5 worth of ETHW, or what was it?
Oh, much less than that. I think it's $4 or $3 or $2, somewhere in there. Yeah, but like, look at me, I'm rich. I almost have 0.369 ETHW. Yeah.
Now watch how many USDC that might get you. No, okay,
yeah,
so first,
let's go play.
Okay, so we have to go to an exchange that works. There's one that aggregates through multiple dexes, and that's
KyberSwap.
KyberSwap.
So no matter what you like type in is the domain name, because I typed in kyberswap.com/swap/ETH-2-HEX. It still takes you to like this learning page where it has a button to connect your wallet, but it's just actually a picture. And so you just go to KyberSwap again, and then it'll take you to the real page. And then you go to your little MetaMask guy. And wait, you can't connect that way. Where's the actual? Oh, connect wallet is down here.
Yep.
Where the trades are happening. And so, and I have to change it to ETH proof of work network. And then I hit connect wallet because that's the network that I'm on. Click MetaMask, and it's popping up now. MetaMask is popping up. You can't see it on my screen right now, but and then I'm approving it. So I'm connected. Party.
Right. Now contract addresses will have to be ported. But okay, so at the top, you see how the top block has ETH already populated in it?
Yep.
Here's how, yeah, so you can X out of that actually.
So this is ETHW. It says ETH, but it's really ETHW.
Because the chain thinks it's ETH. The chain just thinks it's ETH. Now hit the max button, but remove like a tiny bit, like where it says 0.35, like make it 0.34 or something. So you
So-
have gas that doesn't get spent.
So
Or you
point,
could do that.
point one is 2,700 USDT. But
Yeah.
I don't want that.
So you want hex.
I already got enough of it.
Right. So what
The
you
worthless you.
click that, and now you have
Yeah.
to find hex. So you'll
Yep.
have
So
to.
I go to nomics, and then I scroll down a couple little hops and skips, and then click on hex, and then right down here it says the contract address. I recognize it. It ends in EEB39, and then I paste it in here. And then it takes a second and it pops up with hex, and I hit import. And it says, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And then it shows me how many hex.
Yep.
On ETHW, the ETHW I can get for 0.1
J-Part,
ETH.
you can stake. We're gonna get to that.
All right, I'm not holding back, guys.
Going
Oh,
full
Hunt had
detail.
some good info.
Full
Hunt says if you
mode.
happen to hit max, it does leave enough gas behind to do 3 more transactions.
He's gonna lose
Yeah.
it all.
You know what? My MetaMask
It's
is
gonna drain
screwed up.
his bank accounts,
He's actually draining ours with
There we go.
blockchain.
and
technology
Asteroid is
right
gonna
now.
hit his house.
I know, right?
The code is going to get in his in his brain, and then he's going to tell everyone to buy it.
All
That's what the-
right.
That's
So
cool though. Maddie, thank you so much for showing people. I'm pretty bad at the stream share, so that was helpful to me, even though I did it.
view transaction success. So if it got
Maddie's
hung up,
aping his
or,
life savings right now.
I know, right? What was that, like less than
Dude,
$1?
that was like
$4.
$2.50.
He's staked up for so many years. He's only ever been able to get $4 out so far.
All right, guys. Now that I'm wrecked, I'm going to go and stake this right away before other people, like move in on the T-share rate, before people end their stakes and push up the T-share rate. So I'm gonna go to apphex.win. I don't really like Akosa. I think it's a mousetrap. So if you like it, more power to you. But
When you say mousetrap, you mean the front end in general when you're playing?
no,
with
I mean
it?
like you're inserting your hex here, and like
Oh, I see what you're
like
saying. Yeah, that's
don't
scary
do
for
that.
me, too.
I like my hex.
A lot of people
Anyway,
use
so like
Alex's front end.
so this is there's like 5 front ends for hex. Like, how did I find this? I just like cycled through all the front ends I know of. Go.tshare.app, I think, will give you like a really, really good user experience on ETHW in the future. But I'm not the dev, so I can't promise you when or if that work will get done. But I can tell you, I'm really looking forward to using that interface. This interface is amazing. It's app hex.win, and then you have to select your wallet. It's not like super clear that you just click right here on your wallet and then it opens up. It says it's the wrong network, but it's really not. And then it gives you these buttons. And so one of the buttons here says start stake. So if I hit that, and then how much hex do I have? Oh, I have 570 hex. So I do that. And then how long do I want to stake it for? I don't know. Quattro Cinco. Do I want to do it for 2 days? Whatever. And then I hit send. Oh, it's not working right now. That's weird. This was working yesterday. Huh. Am I connected? Yeah. Well, this is
it's
what
reading your
happens
wallet
with
address, so you are connected.
it's what happens with live demonstrations, huh?
Well, we
Let me
could use Alex's front end.
I don't like it. It's worked for me the other day. It's not
Is
working.
go.hex.win not on there yet?
It says it's not.
I mean,
Invalid transaction parameters. Parameters specify an EIP 1559 transaction, but the current network does not support EIP 1559. Huh. Okay. Well, worst case scenario, I have to wait a couple days, or whenever
you're
for
already wrecked to zero anyway.
for
so-
go.tshare.app to support it. So maybe it's because I wonder if it's because I didn't. That shouldn't. If I didn't import, let's go through how to import hex into MetaMask. So when you do a KyberSwap, it's add hex to MetaMask is actually one of the choices here. So I just click that button and then it adds it right there.
Yep.
So if I've already put in the contract address, I don't want to pull it up again, then I can do that. Or I can go over to Nomics and copy the address again and then plug it into MetaMask that way. But yeah, so
early
we can
adoption is sticky. I mean, it gets like this too. Like this came out yesterday. So in general, guys, like, was this a lot of what we were doing yesterday when we were on our computers alone? Yes.
Maddie, just go to Alex's front end. It works flawlessly. He launched it. It's supported.
I haven't looked at anything yet, other than just the.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not promoting that. Like,
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, if somebody else wants to make a tutorial, that's cool.
Oh, you mean in general, you're not promoting?
This is to show people. Yeah, this is to show
you
people
can stake native hex.
that I support
native hex on there without ever touching Hedron if you prefer. That is the thing. Well, it is a front end for hex.
It's okay for us all to have different opinions, and like if everybody doesn't support it, then some people will and some people won't. And isn't that the best security posture anyway?
He's not shaving a fee. I mean, it's simply a front end for hex that interacts with the hex contracts you can stake and unstake.
Like, we all need to do what we're comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not taking my people down that road. Like, it's all good.
No, it makes sense because
I hope we could still be friends.
No, yeah, no, there's trust involved in all of this. And just because, let's say I had a 20-hour conversation with Alex over a beer and Maddie didn't, right? And let's say none of us knew anything about any of these people. It's like, yeah, maybe I would be a little more comfortable swooping through that. And Maddie would say, hey, I'd like to have more, whatever the reason is. It's just like everyone's different with their risk.
Hey, tolerance. Maddie, your stake went through, apparently, a guy says. It just shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said it's just on your end. If you look at the blockchain.
Hey, look at all the smart people watching.
Yeah, we got smart guys in the chat.
It went through? Are you sure?
But you didn't click.
No.
You didn't click.
Go to your Ether
confirm, right? Here, refresh and see what you have as far as hex.
Yeah, it's still the same amount. I mean, the other one I was working on had already done it before. It already had hex stakes, and I don't know why that would matter, but and I also did like lower times. Yeah, still messing up. And then stakehex.today was also showing it well, but I didn't see how I could actually stake. It was just showing the stakes. So I can switch over. Yeah, I might as well problem solve this now if I'm going to be so adamant about it. So yeah, so I'll just switch over to my other browser that already successfully staked using this front end, and we'll see if it works. So I want to view this on Etherscan. Are you guys watching the prices? Can we tell people how expensive it is for ETHW and how expensive it is for HEX and how many HEX you get on different places?
I haven't looked since, but I want, because I kind of had an idea that a lot of people would be flowing in, so I wanted to let it breathe a little bit. But
yeah, I'm looking up the prices now.
Yeah, look that up for me. I don't know. I don't have the best setup. But as of last night, I think Hex was at a tenth of a penny or 2/10 of a penny. I can't remember. And I remember Hedron was, and a lot of these other assets were similar in ratio, similar-ish in ratio.
ETHW is $8.7, $8.70.
I'm going on.
Boom.
I'm going on with Trayvon tomorrow on my stream. He wants.
Hey,
to,
congrats, man.
yeah, dude. He wants to chill and talk about more and the merge and shit.
Oh, hey, check it out. It worked. So it works if you've used it before. I guess if like you used HEX on the old chain for some reason, it's I confirmed it and it's processing. So yeah. So for you diehard untradeable HEX fans out there who want to use a front end that doesn't promote tradable stakes, this app hex.win does work. We just got the confirmation. Oh, obviously the transaction link doesn't work because we're on a different network, but what you can do.
Copy your address in the OK link.
Yep. And then we can see hex.com. And I paid a really, really, really small fee. It looks like 0.000019. You can look at the transaction details, and I staked HEX. It says transfer, but I can see with stakes that I've created. So then I can go to stake. That's where I go to stakehex.today, and it gives me an easier view of my stakes that I've created on this account. You know, it gives the totals up here. The pending one, I'm not sure if it's going to show up yet or not, but this shows you when my stakes are ending and that sort of stuff, and all the statistics here on this test account that I actually have that's separate from everything. So the stake that I just created, if I go to end stake here on apphex.win, it should pull up a list of all my stakes. And then here we see the one that's pending. So I could, you know, abort that before, you know, before it finalizes when the day rolls over. But this is also where I would go. Let's say if I had a HEX stake that was due, then I could go here. Actually, come to think of it, hey, I think I do in one of my wallets have a HEX stake that's due. I might wait a week to interact with that because that's a bigger wallet. But
full giveaway, I heard on that. Full giveaway
on both chains.
Yeah. So if you, let's say you have monthly or quarterly stakes or whatever it is, when the time comes, like you will be able to end on both chains. And right now, this is the way to do that without, you know, the one way to do it. And there's other front ends, as these gentlemen have pointed out. But here, if I wanted to end this one, I would, you know, I can see that it would nuke my HEX and I wouldn't want to do it, but I would hit the send button and then it would pop up as a confirmation and I would hit no because I actually don't want to do that.
Somebody recently added another 15K worth of liquidity. People are adding liquidity. The liquidity pools are gonna get thicker.
Yeah, I've been noticing that too. Let's go over how to check that for the people at home. So
Dex Screener? Do you use Dex Screener?
DexTools.io is where I've been going.
Oh wait, I want to write that one down.
So the way that I use this one, I close out the ad, and then we can see here on the side what this is the liquidity for just this pool. I mean, but I've been watching this pooled HEX number, 8.2 million. And last night, so that was about 12 hours ago, that was sitting in between 5 and 6 million. So we can see that there's, you know, 12% more liquidity there than there was 12 hours ago. And it had been getting eaten into. And so in the title of this video, I'm talking about like, we are the fixer bots. And like, that's a whole discussion we could have.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I actually discussed that the other day. It's almost like we're the fixer bots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now the fixer bots are really only when the initial liquidity is there. So that time may have passed. But now we're the R bots or we're something else. Anyway, and then this chart, I mean, it just goes all over the place. Let me zoom out and zoom back in here. So this chart has been just running wild in between these two different values.
Best chart in crypto.
Screen's frozen.
500 days.
Oh, my page broke. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, it's been bouncing around. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunity on this chart if you're willing to risk it all, because we don't know where this is going to end up. This could end up being worth a lot or a little. But here we saw, people are buying 1 minute, they're buying at 0.0018, and then not too long later it's 0.0007. So it's bouncing around in a 1 to 2x. But if we look where it came from, I mean, the initial hours of this thing, it was trading at 0.0002. So it's, this is done like a 50x from the very beginning.
On that, if you don't mind.
Sure. Do you see it?
Yeah, but on the bottom right, right there, and then you go to right there, two up.
Yeah.
And then zoom that out a little. Yeah.
So it looks pretty similar.
Yeah. It's pretty wild though.
Yeah. But then when we get into this range, then it doesn't look similar, and we can actually see what's happening. So,
right.
Yeah, that's the best way to look at a chart like this, is to compare back and forth and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm like, what am I doing? Well, if I have some money I'm playing around with that I'm not taking too seriously and I'm not blaming anybody for and all that kind of stuff, if it goes down here, because here, really at the 0.001 mark is where I'm saying, like, if it drops below that, I want to get a little taste. So, and I'm not trading this back and forth. I'm not selling when it does a 2x. You guys remember, well, the story of when Johnny Chaos was buying HEX at 1 Satoshi and selling it for 2, and doing that over and over again. And then suddenly it was like, now HEX is 100 Satoshis, and all the coins that he was playing with really didn't, it wasn't as good as if he was just accumulating. So that's not to say I know what this price is going to do, of course, but that's why I don't like trading in this range, like just a 2x, like not good enough.
JPAR just continues to just like,
let's talk about it.
It's just silly.
Well, people get upset too.
Keep calling it fake HEX. It's real HEX. It's the exact same solidity code.
Let's talk about ETH 2.0 for a second, because 60% of the validator power is in 2 different companies, Coinbase and Lido. I don't know about you guys, but I think that that's a problem, and it might not always be that way, and that's not a reason to completely FUD ETH 2.0. But ETH 2.0 is the upgrade. That's the thing that's new that we don't know if it's going to work or not, from a technical perspective. Now, from a social perspective, blockchains are both technical and socially enforced networks. But like from a social side, everybody's like, oh, ETH 2.0 is the way. So, to be a little bit contrarian, or to be a leader in this new chain, I think there's a lot of room for growth. I think there's a lot of room for being an ambassador and for having HEX have a good showing. I don't know what Richard is going to say about ETHW, and none of us should speak for him. I personally do not want to see cheap HEX on any chain because I think it,
Do we have
again,
that
it
Because
strengthens
he's
our
already-
narrative for Pulse chain. It's the same code. It works the same way. People need a store of value on other chains. And, you know, I like HEX.
Can you pull up that clip where Richard says, I don't want to see cheap HEX anywhere. I prefer to see expensive HEX on all chains. Say, type expensive HEX. Yep. Might be like the 5th one down or something. Actually, I have the actual phrase that he used.
Can you hear it? I think I have to re-add it.
And I think the cool part about RH is he told us a lot of the time what to look out for when you are buying an asset, you know, low liquidity, product market fit, community, and a good leader. And none of those things change when it gets forked over, in my opinion. No audio on this end.
You guys heard that, right?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, I've.
Are you sharing on a different tab and doing full screen? Because if you're doing,
All right, I'm gonna
full
switch
screen,
back because I'm using two different
or you could drop the link.
browser.
You can also drop the link in the private. I can do it.
I'm doing two different browsers. I got it now. Copy link address. I've actually never streamed from two different browsers before like this, so I know what the problem is.
Somebody said there's a clip of him saying we might get 3 copies of HEX.
Yeah, we can get to it. If you guys want to queue that up in the private chat, we could do it that way. Can you hear it now?
Hey, I got it. I got it here.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna. I'll just share, and I only have it because I'm just pulling up my stream from earlier, and it was just like my little intro.
Expensive on all chains. I
Can
don't
you hear
prefer
that?
to see cheap HEX anywhere. You're going to have stakes on 2 chains. And I prefer to see HEX expensive on all chains. I don't prefer to see cheap HEX anywhere. So, you know, having HEX on 2 chains could be quite nice. But it's like having Pulse chain could be very nice as well. So when people ask me, I usually tell them, I'm pulling this number out of my butt. I have no idea which one's going to outperform, whether HEX is going to beat Pulse or Pulse is going to beat HEX. I just tell them 2/3 Pulse, 1/3 HEX.
You guys heard that, right?
Yeah, he clearly said he doesn't want to see cheap HEX on any chain. Now, if HEX
You're going to have
existed,
stakes on 2 chains. And I prefer to see HEX expensive on all chains. I don't prefer to see cheap HEX anywhere.
Here you go. Hard to argue with that. Till it comes out and says something else, but
Crypto moves, crypto changes.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because if you're a founder of a protocol, and the protocol appears to be having good price performance, you're not going to come out on camera and say, hey, y'all, I made that code that's really awesome, but I want it to fail on one chain. Like, send it to 0, everybody. Dump it, make it the worst chart in history. That would be retarded. Okay, Richard's not going to say that.
No, because he told us in between all his verbiage, because Richard Hart only markets his products directly, and right now is 2 days in, and I think he's not going to just come out and say some wild stuff because he doesn't want people to FOMO either. So whether he doesn't like it or likes it, but Richard has punching power, guys, in this industry, and he can play the fiddler with a lot of things but he is a great man in my opinion. Like he is a good man. I think that's the part about Hex that I like the most. Really, I really believe in. I think I know what Richard's trying to do. He's trying to make the world a better place. I think I can see his vision, and I think this helps.
We'll let him speak for himself, but we can speculate now. That's fun. That's what part of our job as broadcasters is to imagine. WWRS. What would Richard say? And to be our own leadership until he says something. People can choose to wait to follow Richard or play around with things now. Jesse has a really cool point to answer the question of, are you exit liquidity if you play around on the new network?
It depends. Are you exit liquidity on the Ethereum mainnet chain? If you purchase HEX there, will other people eventually sell HEX? Yes.
Every trade,
how coins work. People buy, people sell.
Every trade has a buyer and a seller. So that is a really silly argument if you can't back it up with more. If somebody's saying, I'm not talking to Jesse, I'm talking about the person in the chat who's saying, you're the exit liquidity for ETHW. And it's like, well, it depends if you value HEX, and if it's a willing buyer and a willing seller that creates a market.
Great point, Maddie. Just
and
Richard brings up the real estate thing. He's like, where's the liquidity pool for my house? Everyone wants to buy it, but there's no LP. You know what I mean? So it's like, just like you said, you're my entrance liquidity, and I'm your exit liquidity. Yeah, that's what a buy and a sell is, right? In order for me to buy something, somebody has to be willing to sell it. In order for me to sell something, somebody has to be willing to buy it. So it's this like, you're capitalizing on the trauma of people who've been rug pulled when you're applying that to this, which is, we don't know how this trade is going to go down. We don't know if HEX is going to be valuable on the new chain, but we want to understand it. And so just, casting it off because somebody's selling and somebody's buying is not like, that's not a legitimate argument, in my opinion. I want HEX to be the best for everyone.
You know what's interesting? So one guy says, scroll up just a little bit. It says, big comment here. Would be nice if our own community admitted to being our bot whales. Because they plan to dump on you. The same exact thing will play out on Pulse Chain. We have been telling people whenever a chain forks, stablecoins go to zero. The ARB opportunity was not actually immediately into HEX. Maddie showed you how he was able to purchase $4 worth of ETHW, and it was going to give him a ridiculous amount of USDC. People were able a couple nights ago actually to swap USDC into USDT and then into DAI based on which one was dumping faster and accumulate a big sum of ETHW. Maybe some of those people chose to use some of their accumulated ETHW and grab a position in HEX because they like HEX and they prefer to stake HEX. Okay. Are you suggesting that people not purchase HEX, then instead they only dump it? Or are you suggesting that nobody ever buys HEX and the price goes sideways? Or I don't understand what your narrative is. People purchase HEX and you're complaining about it.
Yeah. If you're worried about people trading HEX on the new chain, HEX solves this. It's called staking. And you stake your HEX and it's provable that you're not going to dump it for a certain amount of time, So for me, I'm going to pay attention to how many people are staking on the new chain. Guess why? Because everybody who lets their stake bleed out, and everybody who isn't playing the game over there is going to make the APY for me, and the early end stake bonuses or the late end stake bonuses and stuff. That's going to be really sweet for me over there. Thank you.
You could
for
see
your
the
service.
same thing on Pulse Chain, by the way, because the stable coins will go to 0. And the ones that go to 0 the fastest, you swap them for the ones that are going to 0 slower, and you swap back and forth and back and forth. And before you know it, you have millions of worthless USDC that are swappable for millions of HEX. Okay. It's like the same exact thing happens on every single fork. The sheep guys, the amp guys, the uni guys, people arb during forks. This happens, and we've been showing you how to do this and explaining that this is a thing for a long time. Some people missed an arb opportunity, others captured it. But at the end of the day, any of that economic value flowed into the thing that those people like, which happens to be HEX. That's a good thing.
I'm going back for more, guys.
Yes.
He said I put $4 in, and I really only put in $1, so I want to make that true. My browser hates me because I'm using 3 browsers.
Yeah, and I think it's okay, guys. If you feel like you missed out, if you feel like you didn't get involved, if you're feeling a lot of that FOMO, like that's a lot of the stuff that, JPAR, a lot of these guys, it's just they're just a little frustrated, okay? Because a lot goes on in crypto. Crypto is a harsh place, and HEX makes it a better place.
Right. JPAR's perfect. It's perfectly acceptable, JPAR, to sit back and do nothing. We talked about that at the beginning of the stream. You're welcome to sit back and watch and do nothing at all.
Yeah, exactly. And Sam will buy lots of the supply.
Yeah. I just got another $1.75 of HEX.
Let's go.
I think I got 112. Count it.
That might retire someone one day.
Who knows?
You want to get that yield though.
Yeah. I want to stake it. Right.
Right.
He just said, "Why are you giving me so much attention? I'm a troll."
Yeah, we know. Come on, we also
because people are thinking it.
I was
relevant.
I was thinking it when all the Pulse Chain stuff was going on, and I was sacrificing. Yes, I did get involved, but I was scared. I was very scared. I didn't know what I was looking at yet. You know what I mean? And there's nothing Maddie could have told me at the time. I didn't know who Maddie was. If he came up to me on the street and was like, "Hey, man, trust me, we're good to go here," I'd have been like, "Dude, you're sketching me out, bro. Like, please leave me alone. I'm nervous. I want to protect myself." That's why studying is the ultimate goal, in my opinion, and the skill that we're all learning in real time. Like you're showing people directly how to go through those steps.
Our bots are not beneficial whales. I don't know what that means. Our bots are a necessary thing over time on a chain to keep everything in balance where they're supposed to be. So there can't be attack vectors in price feeds, especially back to DeFi protocols. So, I don't know what you mean.
I haven't been reading
beneficial whales. I don't know what that means.
I haven't been reading the chat, bro, but keep dropping your questions if because we're here to answer them. You're stuck? Where'd you get stuck on? So, what other topics or questions do people have? The price of HEX on this other chain, it's 0.0015 right now, and it keeps bouncing around, and the pooled HEX over there is 8.3 million, and the 24-hour volume is $500,000. So liquidity is 25,000. A lot of activity over there. Let's play the same computer game on all chains. Boom. Who else is feeling positive about getting a free copy of HEX on the new chain? Getting APY on two chains.
It is like a game. You just click buttons and then you get free coins. It's like
dress
isn't
rehearsal.
Isn't that the point of HEX? Click some buttons, type in how long you want to stake for, and then you get some free coins, and you can do it as many times as you want to. It's like a little video game. Like,
It's
what's
better.
the problem?
We are playing with the fork of Ethereum, ETH proof of work, also abbreviated ETHW. And so the bridge, let's talk about bridge. So a bridge is where somebody has an admin key and holds on to your crypto and then tries to give you your crypto back later, except they get hacked. That's what a bridge is. Bridges suck. An exchange is where you exchange your money for the thing you actually want, and then you don't have to go back and beg for it later because you sent it to your MetaMask. So like when we talk about a bridge, like what do you need a bridge for? You can go in. So I took a little bit of USDC on ETH. I sent it to my new account on Kraken. I swapped it into ETH, or I like, traded it for ETH just because I didn't want transaction fees on like the, certain end that I was at. So like I could have just used ETH and then I could have sent it, or I could do USDC on ETH. So you send that to whatever exchange you're going to use. You can use Change Now. These guys noted a few different exchanges where you can get ETHW. So I, swapped my Ethereum for ETHW. It's going for $8 or $10 right now. And then I withdrew it to my fresh MetaMask wallet on the ETHW chain. And, that's how, that's how I bridged in. And just like Jesse was saying on some of the shows that he's been on recently, like, how do you get value out? Maybe you just want to sell all of your HEX or your worthless USDC, or, maybe you have other coins that you want to sell. So you sell it on the ETHW chain and you trade it for ETHW, and then you send ETHW to one of the exchanges that can swap it out for ETH. So you don't need a bridge when you have on and off ramps. I think that's my
true.
take.
And I think there will be bridges to other chains. These things take time. The reason why bridges don't pop up often immediately is, one, nobody knew how fast this fork was going to happen, but things like AnySwap or multi-chain and some of the other bridges, like they need to see what the established liquidity pools are across two chains. One challenge is, what's the absolute primary pairing over on ETHW? Well, it's with a stable coin that's worthless and going to zero. So you don't really want to have that as one of your liquidity pools for a bridge on each side, because it's going to zero. So sometimes it's helpful to wait for a stablecoin protocol to natively launch. Now, some bridges work differently. Some bridges operate differently, right? But these things take time.
When did I put bullish in timeout? That wasn't on this stream. Maybe he's joking. I'm just getting in the chat now, guys. So I don't know if you guys have been talking shit or like saying really nice things. I don't even know.
I think Rip City Hex had a question. He said something about he doesn't see his USDT on the ETHW chain or something.
You have to put the contract address in. That's a good reason for us to talk about, like, don't put unknown contract addresses in. Don't interact with tokens that you don't know about. So a major hack that people are doing is they're sending you like fake ETHW that shows up on your Etherscan and gives you a different contract address, or it looks like you got an airdrop when you really don't. So you guys have to be really careful and not interact with anything that you don't already know about. So for me, I didn't go to Etherscan and look at all the scam coins that people sent me that are trying to hack me. I just thought about, like, what have I bought? What's in my wallet on Ethereum? Like, I've got HEX, got some Hedron that I've been minting frequently. Maybe I have some Pulse Dogecoin, different things like that I got in an airdrop, right? And so then I go to Nomics, I take the contract address from there where I trust, and then I load it into KyberSwap or load it into MetaMask. And that's how I trust, that I'm not going to interact with something that is phishing me or something similar.
I wonder if this Hans is in the chat is the same one who created a tutorial video. I'm just curious.
Oh yeah, I started watching that right before I went live. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's the same, but that was a cool video. Yes, you can stake the new hex. You can rewind to see how I did it, or you can use another way. Basically, it's apphex.win. If you're using an address that has already staked hex before, it works. Otherwise, there's other front ends that will keep coming up or that exist now. You guys mentioned what? App.icosa or Hedron or
app.icosa.pro.
okay, that's what you guys are using.
Yeah,
I never
app.icosa.pro. You can natively stake hex or choose to do it through the Hedron protocol.
I've never used the Hedron staking front end for the HEX protocol, so I don't know. But I used it for the icosa staking and the Hedron stuff. Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Hans, thank you for that video yesterday. It was so clear. You showed everyone what this is all about. You explained the risks. And it was literally the best video about how all this works in a very
link that
concise
video
format.
down there so we can show people that video. I would love to have a good video to show people. So anyone in the chat,
I got it.
Oh, great.
And I thought it was funny when he said, "You don't have to listen to me. I'm just a random guy on the internet."
Well, let's get you some more subscribers there, guy. Yeah, it says you're a hex enthusiast. I like that. So here, I'm going to drop the link to your channel as well if it's easier for people to read. Crypto Carnivore. There. You already got a great sub there with Finbear. It's not just the number of views that you get, everybody. It's not just the number of subscribers. It's the quality of the people who are subscribing to your ideas and your broadcasts, right? So is there any volume for Hedron on ETHW? I put like $10 into it and it worked. And then I put $10 into it and it didn't work. So like with some of these things that have low liquidity, or if you just get a moment when there's a lot of activity or something, then the transaction will fail. And then you might adjust your slippage up to like 2% or something, or you might just wait and come back a little bit later. What do you guys do when have you had any transactions fail when you're trying to do a swap?
Only if there's no liquidity and it wouldn't fill. That was the only time when the assets were so light that some of them wouldn't fill. But if it was available on Kyber, I had no problems with it. And it kind of tells you beforehand.
Yeah, I've had two different types of failures. One was just a failed transaction, and then I just did it again and it worked. And the other one was like a weird, like it wasn't recognizing that I was connected anymore, and I just had to close and then reopen MetaMask and try again. But that was probably just because like it like timed out or something in my browser. I don't know how that worked. I thought it stayed connected forever, but whatever.
That's weird. Yeah, I've gotten tons of like failures. I don't know why, but I've made like 100 trades on ETHW, like just buying.
Right. That'd be caveat by saying I've done a couple of swaps on the new ETH too, and also had a failure yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. Like sometimes this happens in all blockchains where you click the button, it tries to register to the blockchain and it just fails for whatever reason. You got to do it again. Like, I don't know why. I'm not a dev.
Right.
yeah, so what else? What other questions do people have? What other points do we want to talk about? As you know, thanks for being here, everybody. Hit the like and subscribe button if you appreciate getting free money, another version of Hex on a new chain that could be valuable someday, even if you do nothing. That's pretty cool.
I'd say that's epically cool.
Yeah.
Like,
And-
dude, come on, guys. Imagine, let's say you have 1 million hex and you worked really hard to get that. You're all staked up, but you have some liquid, maybe 30%. Let's say something like that. If you just sit on your butt and let this thing go to parity, if that's what it wants to do, I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying if that's what it wants to do, that's lit. That's amazing. That's incredible. That's free money, real free money in a real product. I love it.
So I was playing around with different cryptos because, like, you know, this is my dress rehearsal for Pulse Chain. And so I said, oh, I'm going to put $5 into anything that I've ever heard of and, you know, see what happens. So I bought some Hedron. I bought some PZen, which on the ETH chain, I like sold all that because I was just tired of like checking the price. I was like, I don't care about this. People are hating on me for even covering it. So like I am out of that one on like the ETH side of things. I think I like broke even on it, but like anyway, don't come at me about PZen because I don't have an opinion anymore. About $5 a SHIB, $5 a USDT, $5 of Uni, $5 a Link, wrapped Bitcoin. Hey, why not? ENS, Ape, DAI, USDC, you know, so those are all the ones that I played around with.
List some reasons why ETHW would get any usage. All you have to do is go into the Pulse Chain Telegram room and read all the same reasons that Pulse Chain may get usage. Cheaper fees, faster transactions, okay, to name two of them. Are there differences? Absolutely. Proof of stake, it doesn't have a cool PulseX platform like we're going to have on Pulse Chain, right? Like, we're not saying that Pulse Chain is subpar to ETHW. We're saying people will continue to use ETHW because it's cheaper and faster, and that's what people care about.
It's cheaper, faster. There's more volatility, which attracts some people. There's, if you think that it could go to parity, there's more. I mean, what it would? Didn't somebody say that Hex did a 50x in 2 days on ETHW?
Yes, it was 100x away from parity at the top.
Yeah. So
No, actually 10
like that,
because it was 0.00.
It was a
What's the
tenth
price
of a
now?
penny or 2/10 of a penny.
it did a 10x. No, I was looking at the 24-hour last
No, it
night.
did.
I
It
have
did over
screenshots.
50x. But what I'm saying is, what's the current price?
Oh, the current price is 10x. Okay.
We're just under a 10x away from parity.
Yeah, and it's
You
normal.
know how easy it is to 10x that price right now?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh wow, they actually reached parity.
There's guys getting home from vacation and work, and guys that are locked in, kind of locked in. There's people that know this information, though. Vitalik's a very strong character in the space, like, in my opinion. So a lot of people, I feel like, know about this. I think it's a very interesting, all of it.
People keep asking, is there value? Pulse Doge, Maxi, look, anything on the chain, any ERC20 that is swappable for ETHW has value, because ETHW is directly able to be sent to an exchange for whatever you want. You can cash out, right? So long as there are liquidity pools where you can swap things and swap around and get into ETHW, there is absolute value there.
Yeah, so your staked coins are there earning interest while you sleep, while you're awake, while you're naughty, and while you're nice. And that's the question Jesse just answered. Yeah, so what I did is I made a fresh wallet. I sent I got used to things. I accepted the risks. I sent my USDC first from basically the copy that I got. I sent that to the Fresh wallet. Then I swapped it for HEX or for ETHW. I can't remember. And then swapped it for HEX. So yeah, it, Define has value, but if people are, they're selling their coins and getting ETHW and taking them to an exchange and getting, dollars in their bank account for that. And then, other people are taking dollars in their bank account and they're buying ETHW and then they're putting it into different coins. Like, yeah, that has value.
Before I jump off of here, I want to just say the point that I said at the beginning one more time. The attention that this is bringing to HEX and then ultimately to Pulse Chain, because anybody who's curious about their free copies and the ETH fork, this weird contentious ETH fork that Ethereum fork that just happened, they land on any of these websites and they see HEX at the top of the charts and they go, what's that? Now they either buy it on ETHW or they just do some Google searches and they say, I prefer to buy it on the regular ETH chain. Or wait a minute, what's this Pulse Chain thing called? This could have been the biggest marketing maneuver that any of us have ever seen in our life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And it still can be because, HEX is on the leaderboard over there. People are seeing it. People, anybody who uses KyberSwap, anybody who is, looking at the leaderboard, it scrolls across, or no, I guess it's on, where have I seen the scrolling leaderboard? Is it on Dex Tools? Or is it on DexTools.io? It's showing what the hot pairs are. And HEX is number 4 right now.
What other hot pairs are there? Just curious.
Hedron is up there. At times I've seen Hedron, PZen, and HEX. Yeah. All right. And
this community is strong, man.
And anybody who ever looks at their assets on ETHW and goes to any of those websites sees HEX right at the top and then scratches their head and says, what's that?
Or they say, remember that thing that everyone said was a rug and now it's dominating the next chain that comes out? Wow, maybe I should focus this time.
And then what they do is they say, wow, I hear that there's going to be another fork and probably HEX is going to overperform everything on that one too. So they ape into Pulse Chain. Come on, think of the big picture here, everybody.
I got a call at 3, Maddie. Absolutely incredible show. Jesse, thank you for all your help over the last few days. And guys, everyone, make sure you're being careful and protecting your security first and foremost. So, thank you.
I'm going to be on later today with Gen HEX. So everybody make sure to subscribe to him. Let me drop the link here once I find it. And could both of you guys send me a link that you want me to drop so people can follow you?
Yes. And it was great to see you, Maddie, in person, and Jesse in person. We all met. Well, I don't know. Yeah, we all met, and it was truly an amazing experience. And all of this combined has just been a treat for me. I can promise you that.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, I've met Maddie a couple times now, but
yeah, and again, I want to thank you guys for your leadership on this topic, because I do think it is super important that people remember that HEX on any chain can be valuable, pays APY, is a marketing opportunity to onboard new people who are not in the system. If not everybody participates, then you can still benefit. You still have a free copy if you do nothing. And that should be really good news to you, whether you know, whether it moons or, you know, plummets, you know, you haven't risked anything, but you get to be part of this experience and part of history, really, when we see how these different chains play out.
I just dropped my YouTube in there. Yeah, thank you for the kind compliment. It's not easy keeping up with this stuff every day, and it's fun, though. I think it's fun. So thank you. And guys, that's my YouTube channel. I'm live at 11 a.m. Eastern every single day talking about this kind of stuff. So everyone have a amazing day. Jesse and Maddie, I hope you guys have an amazing one.
Hey, likewise. Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here.
See y'all. Stay smart. See ya.
And I'm just loading up the outro. So hit the like and subscribe button. Hey, do me a big favor and join the Telegram for smartvault.me. It's pinned in the YouTube. I'm going to drop the link again here so that you can join. This is the main channel that I go to let you know that I'm streaming or to do like one post per day. So Smart Vault is a project that I'm working on that I've done streams about. It's allows you to time lock your Pulse chain and Pulse X to save you from yourself, which is the whole point of HEX here. And you might even be able to earn incentives, which would be really cool from early end stake penalties. So it's kind of like it's not going to have inflation. It's not going to have a duct taped on token, but it's definitely worth checking out. The game theory of HEX was released by Richard before HEX was released, and that's what I'm doing here to get your feedback. And it's already been super helpful to have people tell me. So I've already changed a lot of things based on your feedback. So for now, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Stake wisely, my friends. And do we have anybody to raid? Let me look. Let me see if there's anybody we can raid. There's not. Let me check a couple other places. But definitely the Gen HEX stream later is going to be one to check out. So I already linked to that. I think it's in a couple hours. You know, isn't this Hexologist streaming right now? Tell me in the chat if you know anybody streaming. We've got Hodl Dog's just doing a 24-hour thing. Heracoin? I don't even know what that is. Ending a native hex stake on ETHPOW. Anybody? Go to apphex.win. Hexo usually on soon, 10 minutes. Okay. Hey, I'll answer questions for 10 more minutes. You guys get a bonus there. Bonus Maddie. Keeps paying with answers. You're saying GRC and Jack, RG3 on Hexo. Cool. Yeah, let's do it. So we're going to stick around. Gen HEX is working on his thumbnail. So we're going to be excited for that. When is that stream? I guess I could look here and see when I'm streaming with GRC or with Gen HEX. He said 5 p.m. Eastern. So that's 4 p.m. Central. That's in 2 hours. So you guys are going to be able to watch Hexo for an hour, and then maybe somebody else will be streaming, and then I'll be streaming again with Craig after that. Hex Family is where Hexo is streaming. Very cool. Hexicans are alpha students and educators in the crypto space. That is right. 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay, I'm looking for questions now, people. This is good practice for Pulse Chain. I answered that. Thank you for saying good stream. Is the hex address on ETH the same on ETHW, also known as POW, proof of work? Yes, it is the same. I go to nomics to find it, then I recognize it once I see it. The hex contract address ends in 40EEB39. Make it cheap, members only YouTube, Maddie. I already did. It's on there. I don't know how cheap it is though. $10 a month or something. To help cover all the overtime costs. Thanks for the info. Think and decide for yourself. Hey, thanks, Bob Guy. You rock. Thanks for the $10. Means a lot. Total Dog is the best. Yeah, I love his new setup. Hex Siren, love it. Thanks for the stream, Maddie. Safe security practices. Good time to reinforce it. That's right. So don't accept money from strangers. And be careful. Yep, that's what Kinetic said last night. Nice stream, thank you. Hex is winning on all chains. Hey, it's true. How do you like that? T.me/hex security. See, but Benny, when you tell people to go there, then they just get messaged by a bunch of scammers, literally. So it's, man, it's like, what can you do? How do I stake and unstake Hex on ETHW? AppHex.win. Rewind if you get stuck. And that's if you have a wallet that has already had stakes before the fork. Any issues using hardware wallets on proof of work? Should be the same because you're using MetaMask to connect. DMs on Telegram are scam 99% of the time. That's right. Hexo should be going here soon. I haven't rated him in a while. That'll be great. Kraken looks to have a 72-hour freeze on new accounts. I didn't have that. I guess it depends how much money you put in, maybe, or whether your social security number has like done trades before, but like just go to change now. Wonder how this liquidity volume and I think you mean price action compares to the first few days listing on Uni V1 and V2. It's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure. Do we want to keep an eye on the Hex price here? On this new chain? Well, right now it's 0.0016. So it's been really stable since we started the stream. In the past 24 hours, it's bounced around a lot between so it's done a almost a 3x dip, and it's gone as high as like a 10x from like the 24-hour low to the 24-hour high. But right now we're sitting in the middle of all that almost exactly. I love how all this is played out for the RH ecosystem. Making lemonade out of lemons. Anyone know? Yep, I covered that. Native hex stake on ETHPOW. Go to apphex.win. And then you put from the pull down menu. It's pretty self-explanatory. Need to thank Vitalik. I don't know. He's okay. Strong community. I think Hex and the related tokens are dominating that leaderboard is simply because we as a community are already conditioned to deal with this scenario when PLS launches. I agree. Hex Pest. Marketing for free. That's awesome. Dextools.io. Hashtag never selling. No one is gatekeeping HEX on ETHW yet. Is removing privileges the same even though it's ETHW and not ETH? Can we do it all through Etherscan the same way? You can do it through Etherscan if you approve something on the ETH mainnet. I don't think it carries through that you're connected on the ETHW mainnet. So you're going to have to connect to each site you want to connect to. It's not going to carry over. Perfect timing for Pulse Chain. Yeah, we get to copy all their answers and then add our upgrades, which is pretty exciting. So I just tried sending my ETHW USDC to another wallet of mine on ETHW chain when my hardware wallet asked me to confirm the address on the ledger was different from the one I'm trying to send to. That's strange. You might be sending to the contract address or something weird. I'd back up and try again. That isn't right. Dex Screener has HEX up over 900% in 24 hours. Am I purchasing ETHW on Ethereum first? Yeah, I answered that here. So purchasing ETHW on ETHW from Kraken or Change Now. Extra eyeballs. I'm working today, thanks. Bought a ton of altcoins for a bargain on ETHW. Not surprised, HEX is winning on ETHW. HEX is number one on proof of work. Hey, Maddie. Awesome streams. So we have to stake ETHW HEX on our main wallet? Yeah, you can, whenever you're ready. Yeah, that is weird. Don't send to a contract address, my friend. So that requires us to add a word of caution that Bristology is playing with his hardware wallet and it's not acting right. So don't ignore that fact and don't assume that it works. You have to pay attention to what address you're sending to when you're sending to something. If you're sending to a contract address, that is wrong on any chain. Since gas is so cheap on EthPoW right now, short rolling stakes with any copied liquid HEX sound like a good idea. It depends what your goal is. I think that having a cheaper T-share rate, like, and just being staked is like that's the true long-term win. And then you can't screw yourself by accidentally selling before it moons, right? You time lock to save yourself from yourself. Where can we check the prices of ETHW assets? Let me drop the link. It's in all the helpful links should be in the description below, but if I missed this one, it's dextools.io, and then you have to choose the right pair of Ethereum proof of work, and then you can look up different assets. But I just dropped the one for HEX. So that should get you started there, my friend. Came in late. Did you discuss how to bring ETHW onto your MetaMask? I showed you on the screen. As much as I could. I set up a new address and new seed phrase and all that good kind of stuff. So I didn't actually show you my exchange screen, but I talked you through it verbally. Hexo is live. All right. We're going to go raid him once I catch up here in 2 seconds. And then we can all listen on 2x and catch up with him. People are swapping their ERSD20 for the first time to HEXW in ETHW. Beautiful to see. Hey, that's a great play too. Great day all. Next, they will ape in for PLS, PLSX, and PHEX. That is correct. It's been a while, man. How's it going? Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We had a great stream here. It went fast. I had USDC on ETH during the merge. Is the copy worthless on ETH proof of work? No, you can get some HEX for it. That's pretty cool. So yeah, check it out at your own risk. I guess we shouldn't be surprised that of all the projects in crypto, we're the most prepared to operate on multiple chains. That's right. I'm asking, how do we remove privileges? Revoke.cash, I believe, is the one on the Ethereum chain. And I don't know if that works on these other places yet. Now, but no matter what chain you're on, you can just go to the website and then open up your MetaMask. And then there's a little button, a little green button that says connected. And you click that and you can disconnect from any site. Disconnecting is easy if you go to the website. You would use revoke.cash if you don't even want to go to the website because you don't trust it anymore. But like if you've just used it, then you can go there and that's where you're going to disconnect. And that removes privileges when you disconnect, typically, I believe. Is pump and dump promotion over? I don't know. Like, what about pump and stake or stake and pump? Those are good ones. Hexo intro just ended. Hexo's on. Yeah, let's all go watch Hexo. I'm going to drop the link here. We're going to raid. Let Hexo know where you're coming from. Let him know that you just came from my stream and we're raiding him. That's how a raid works now, isn't it? So I'm going to drop the link here to make it really easy for you guys to join. Hexologist, the main man. So here we go. I'm going to copy and paste this. So go tell Hexo where you're coming from. Go back and check out the beginning of this stream. Buy ETHW from Change Now or Kraken. And, I'll keep streaming as I can to help you guys. And again, if you go to t.me/smartvaultme, I'll post a thread there where people can ask questions about this. So that's another reason to join the Telegram. Here you go, guys. So until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.